I'm going to go through a bunch of keystrokes, and keystrokes can really shave off time when you do in Excel or most other programs. Makes things go so much quicker. So a common one, so say, let's put in this column. So say 5 was here in D1. If I want to copy it, I hit Control C. If I want to copy it down to the cell below it, D2, I hit Control V for paste. So Control C to copy, Control V for paste. And say I wanted to paste it into multiple cells. I just hit Shift and then I hit my down arrow key to select the cells, and then I hit Control V. So I can paste as many cells as I want. If I want to cut it, which means I want to take it away from D1 and put it into a cell, I hit Control X to cut. And now I go to the cell I want and hit Control V. That just removes it from the cell instead of copying it. And I just came up with some of these keystrokes myself. I didn't even see them anywhere. So one of them I use somewhat often. So say this top row, we wanted to freeze it. So when I scroll down, I can always see the top row. So one way to do that is hit Alt-W and then hit F. And it brings up the freeze panes section. And then hit Enter because it's on the freeze panes. And now the top row is frozen. So if I go down, I can always see the top row. And if I wanted to unfreeze the pane, I go back into cell A2, Alt-W, F. And since it's frozen, the unfreeze is highlighted, so I hit Enter for unfreeze. Now it unfreezes it. And you could freeze in here too, so Alt-W, F, and then it freezes column A and row 1. So even if I go this way, I can always see A, and if I go down, I could always see A and B. I mean the top row. But if I go this way, I can only see A because it's just the first column. And now to unfreeze it, Alt-W, F, and then Enter. And say you wanted to go between tabs, like sheet 1, if I want to get to sheet 2, instead of using my mouse, I can just hit Control, hold the Control key in, and then page down to get to sheet 2. If I want to get to sheet 1, page up. So if there was like 10 sheets in here, I can just Control page down, page down, page down until I get to the sheet I want and Control page up. And this could be quicker than finding your mouse and then scrolling to that section. And I got really good at keystrokes by not using the mouse. Like for a year, I didn't use the mouse at all, and I tried to do everything on the keyboard. And that got me to memorize these things and get really good at it. Also, print, probably a common one, but Control P, and that brings up the print. And a way to avoid using the mouse, because it does make things faster once you get really good at this. So say you wanted to get multiple copies. Instead of one copy, you wanted 2. You could just tab over and then just up arrow, down arrow. And you could always just tab. Tab is a popular thing. So you could tab to change the printer type, and then tab to select how many pages. If it was multiple pages and you wanted to do just the first 2 pages, you could do page 1 to page 2. I'm going to hit Escape to get out of this. And Alt-Tab, it's not so much Excel, but if you wanted to go between programs, you can hit Alt-Tab to quickly go between programs. So hold in the Alt and keep the Alt button held in the entire time, and just keep tapping on the tab to go between programs. And if you wanted to select a row, you can hold in the Shift and keep the Shift button held in and hit the space bar. And this is good. Say I want to copy the first row. So instead of like selecting everything, if there was a lot of things, just hit Shift Spacebar, Control C, go down to wherever I want to paste it. If I want to paste it here. But if I pasted it in row 11 by accident, I want to do row 10, I hit Control Z for undo, and then Control V for paste into row 10. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo. If I undid it by accident, if I actually wanted it in 10, I'm going to hit Control Y to redo. And it keeps memory of the past few steps you did. So you could hit Control Z a few times to keep going backwards. And if I wanted to copy the entire column A, I could hit Control Spacebar. So holding the Control, keep it held in, and then hit the Spacebar. And if I wanted to copy it, I hit Control C, and then bring it over here. And Shift F10 is really good because if you use the right mouse key, that's the same as hitting Shift F10, and you could bring up a lot of stuff. So say I wanted to copy this information, but I don't want the yellow. It's in yellow, and I just want it to be no font. If I hit Control C and then Control V, it pastes exactly what it has in that cell. I'm going to hit Control Z, make this a little bigger. So I'm going to hit Control C to copy, and then I'm going to hold in the Shift, and then hit F10, and that is the same as like right-clicking on the mouse. And then I'm going to hit. So now I release my Shift, so you don't have to keep the Shift button held in at this point. Now I hit the S, and that brings up my paste command. And there's a lot of different things you can do. I can paste it exactly the way it is, but in this case, like I said, I want to paste just the information without the yellow font. So I'm going to hit V, which is paste values. And once you do this, 1,000 times like I did, it's second nature. You do it so fast. But just keep a cheat sheet with you, and then you get used to, so you won't forget, and then after a while you'll start to memorize it. And if you wanted to transpose information, which means, say for instance, in this column, like these 7 items, say I didn't want it up and down, I didn't want it in a column, I want it actually in one row. And this could be helpful when you're on spreadsheets and when you have to manipulate data, and you can do it real fast. And instead of like copying and pasting into a row, you can just select the data, just Shift, holding the Shift button, and then down arrow, or up arrow, whatever you want. I'm going to go down arrow and release. Then I'm going to hold in the Control and then hit C while Control button is held in. Now I copied all this information. So I want it in a row, not in a column. So to do that, I'm going to hit Shift F10. So I hold in the Shift. While the Shift button is held in, I hit F10. Now I can release both buttons. Then I hit S for paste and T for transpose. So now it kind of gave me in a row, which is what I want. And the same thing if it was in a row like this, and I go, oh no, I want it in a column. So I could go to this column, I go Shift, hold in Shift, hit F10 while Shift is held in, release both. Now hit the S button to bring up the paste options, and hit T for transpose. Now it's in a column. I'm going to hit Control Z, just to bring it back. And if you wanted to paste a format with all the formatting there, let me give it a better example. So equals C2 times C2. So if I copied it over, it copies the formula. But say I wanted to just copy the formatting, but nothing else. I just wanted to copy the formatting. I don't want the formula in there. For whatever reason, this does come in handy. So to do that, I copy that cell, and then I go to the cell I want to copy the formatting. I hit Shift, holding Shift, hit F10. That's another trick. I hit the F11 by accident. That's to create a tab. And okay, holding Shift, keep the Shift button held in, hit F10 and release both. Hit S and then R, and just copies the formatting and nothing else. Because that could be handy, because you might say, I'll just go to this cell and just hit the yellow. I mean, in this case, it might be not that much time saver. But say, for instance, the formatting was a red font and a yellow background, and you might have to go into this, and it's just a few steps. But if I want a red font and a yellow background inside this cell, I can just go Control C, Shift F10, release S R. Those are my initials, SR. I remember that. So you could copy the formatting, and it doesn't copy what's inside the cell, like this formula. It doesn't matter what's in there. I'm just copying the formatting. And then if you want to copy the formula, you could just if you hit Control C, which is copy, and then go down a row and hit Control V, the formula comes down. So now it's looking at C3 times C3, which is 16. But if you didn't want that, you didn't want the formula copied down, you can hit Control C for copy, then Shift, holding a Shift, hit the F10, then S for paste, and actually no, forget about that. But so those are all the so those are some quick tricks and keystrokes in Excel, and you could come up with anything you want. There's so many things. So let me know in the comments if there's something that you want to do on a keystroke, and you can always find a way. And it does save a lot of time, especially if you do something over and over. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.